Hey there, Blue Mages, Liam here. Welcome back to Blue Academy. Looks like Christmas came early this morning, and we're actually getting some changes for Blue Mage in patch 5.40, and we don't have to wait until 5.45 for everything. In the 5.4 patch, we got the following 3 changes. 1. Sticky Tongue now has increased threat generation. 2. Reduction to damage dealt while in Muddy Guard is now 40% instead of 70%. And I've seen some people reading this as a nerf to the damage taken, but it's actually the other way around. This is a damage buff for people under the effect of Muddy Guard. And the third change is Devour HP buff lasts 70 seconds while under the effect of Tank Mimicry. The first change is a little bit strange, but it does make some things easier, like T9 Golem phase, where now we can generate threat just by using Sticky Tongue, and we don't have to follow up with the look or anything else. What I'm most interested in are the other 2 buffs. The first change, the one to Muddy Guard, effectively doubles your damage while in Muddy Guard compared to before. This is just nice, and it basically means that tanks will be doing a bit more damage, but I still think that the damage reduction should just be removed entirely. Tanks will still have to use Diamondback and Blood Drain a lot, so they won't really be doing competitive damage in the first place. People will then say, but why not just leave Muddy Guard on all the time? And my answer to that is, well, think of any time you were running something that has multiple tanks, and tanks are ripping aggro back and forth. It's just awful. You won't want to do that. I don't think that this will realistically be a huge buff to damage output, so I don't expect damage checks to get drastically easier, but now blue tanks have more incentive to keep a dot rolling, and it could make things like Intermission 1 skip and A8S a little easier, because I'm sure if you've been progging that, you've definitely had a few times where you miss it by just a couple of percentage. On top of this, tanks can now actually use Final Sting in a pinch if needed, without risking taking off Muddy Guard and dying immediately. I know I've been in situations before where everyone stings, the boss is at 0.3% health, I try to sting, take off Muddy Guard, and I die. Now I can actually get a Final Sting in with Muddy Guard, and it will actually, do enough damage to be helpful. But this is more of a Hail Mary situation, and I wouldn't want to rely on this. But anyway, on to the other change. If you've done any amount of blue raiding, you know that seemingly random tank deaths are one of the most frustrating things to deal with. The fact that we have a caster health pool means we really cannot properly soak damage without abusing Diamondback. While Diamondback is a very powerful spell, it makes any mechanics that require movement frustrating, such as dealing with prey, stack, and so on during Brute Justice. Currently at level 60, blue mages have around 22,000 health with item level 270 gear and food buff. This is nowhere near the amount of health that tanks had at level 60. Non-tank busters like Divine Spear and Flare Thrower hit hard enough that we currently almost need the Diamondback in order to survive while there's other mechanics going on. Divine Spear in particular will hit for about 16,000 even with Bad Breath, Addle, and other damage reduction effects on. Combined with auto attacks, it's possible to basically go splat if you're not prepared. The change to Devour means that tanks effectively gain a permanent 5,000 health buff, which puts us more in line with other tanks at level 60. With this change, we can focus on keeping damage debuffs up and only diamondbacking the actual tank busters, since that 5k health cushion gives healers more time, or about 2 auto attacks worth, to heal tanks up. This will help on T13 as well, though I still recommend just diamondbacking every flare breath since there's still a lot of outgoing damage on everyone in that fight, so healers will have to focus on people other than the tank as well. I also really like this change because it shows to me that Square really wants to keep the random roll assignments for blue with mechanics like Gavel. By making the Devour HP buff effectively permanent on tanks, but still a buff that can be clicked off, it means that we need to resolve Gavel the same way we do already. This, as well as Yoshi P's comments about "let's see how you handle Hello World," show to me that this is the intended way to do things moving forward. I think that this is actually really exciting, since part of the charm to me is the chaos that comes with blue raiding and figuring out roll mechanics. So overall I'm pleased, but I understand that people still want to see roll mechanics working as they should. I will say, I've already seen on Discord this morning that people are saying "Morble too easy now, GG," or "back in my day, tanks had to actually work for the clears." I don't think that this actually trivializes anything, and I don't expect to see flocks of Morbles running around Bozja anytime soon. I simply think that tanking will actually be more enjoyable and engaging, and overall less stressful now. Tank deaths in T13, A8, and A12 were rarely what kept people from progging those fights. In reality, it was usually actual fight mechanics. However, we are now able to focus on that more since we won't lose a few pulls per night to blue tank nonsense. It always sucks to get to, late in the fight on A12 or past bots phase on A8 and just lose it to a random tank death. So, I think overall this is going to be healthier for mobile fight progging. After seeing this change, or these sets of changes rather, I think Square is taking blue in the right direction, and I can't wait to see what else we get this patch. Stay tuned, whenever stuff comes out, I'll be talking about it. If you liked this video, feel free to check out these other ones. While you're at it, sting that subscribe button, share your bad breath in the comments, and stay tuned for more Blue Mage content.